what's up, YouTube? This is Phileas Folks, and today we're starting a brand new podcast. We're going to talk about whatever comes into our minds. We don't really have anything specific that we're going to talk about, but I am going to get the ball rolling with DEI and the woke bullshit of life. I mean, it's a sore subject for everyone, so I don't understand how it's even became a thing. I kind of remember it hitting around about 2015 when it really came. Like, you've been in an industry where it was way more prevalent, right? In the arts department of a college, right? So when did you start noticing that? Was it about 2015, or has it been a lot?
Oh, it started
way before that, huh?
AIDS.
Yeah.
I mean,
AIDS. Oh, okay, AIDS.
Yeah, differentiating fact came when people started dropping dead. And then, I think that made America realize, it was a closet group of people, right? The gays, very much kept themselves and was something that was polite, but no, we just didn't, it wasn't part of discussion and stuff. And then it had to become part of a discussion when people started dropping dead. Your friends started dropping dead. People closely work with.
Well, you might have. Do you have anyone died of AIDS that was close to you, Vasily?
No.
I
have
never did.
Secondary friends of relatives of friends.
Yeah. I never knew about it. I never knew anybody who died of it. Yeah. But
I had 3 or 4 associates.
But let's put this right. DEI and woke is not anything specifically about gay people, right?
Absolutely not.
Because we just had that in the last election.
I'm just saying, just the consciousness of
minority groups, let's say.
Minority groups grew during that period.
And that's not a bad thing in itself, right?
I think those are two different things. When something reasonable became something unreasonable, right? It became some crazy movement. Because I was in the military in the 80s, and it was a big thing in the military, no racism, no sexism. I mean, they were very strict about that. They would not tolerate that, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
But it took a total left turn somewhere.
Well, it became, for me, it became a new form of racism and way more aggressive. Yes. You know what I mean? Because, we were ignoring the gays, and some of them were getting beat up and everything else, right? Or the blacks, or the, Jews, whatever you want to, whoever was getting picked on. Yeah, they tried to stamp that out, but it just got ridiculous. I mean, and I actually loathe it, and you guys know me well enough, and anyone who's watched any of my stuff online, I am like the anti-woke, basically, you know what I mean? And I always have been. I won't walk around on eggshells. I won't walk around on eggshells around anybody. Even at a funeral, I'm like the dick who's saying what everyone's thinking, I remember at my dad's funeral, it was my brother's funeral. And he committed suicide, and the Catholics won't bury you if you. And that's another thing we'll talk about, religion, right? So they couldn't bury him because he committed suicide, right? We were sitting, and it was like November in the north of England, right? It was freezing cold, and the crematorium is like not part of the church because again, it's not. Right. They don't want that as part of the Catholic thing, right? So we're kind of off in the corner somewhere, and it's freezing, and the whole family's there, and everyone's shivering, right? And me being the dick I am, I'm like, hey, don't worry about it, they're lighting the fire soon, Yeah. And my mum was sitting right behind me, she just whacked me across the back of the head. She was like, Brian! And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because it was extended family there, But no, so I've never been that guy to like, I just say what I'm thinking, and obviously, sometimes it's a little harsh and a little too much, but for the most part, everyone else around the table or in the bar or whatever, they're all thinking the same thing anyway. And I don't understand why you're biting your lip so much. So that's you got anything on?
Or at the very least, you're funny. I mean, even if I'll disagree with you.
Well, I think I'm funny.
I think so too. It's fun. Sometimes it's funny to hear something inappropriate, just for that reason.
Oh, quite often. Yeah, George Carlin was all about that.
But he was doing an act. He wasn't he was doing a bit on stage. Well, I think it was him actually. You know what I mean?
But I think you understand what's you're not supposed to say these days, and I think you push that button, and that's why I find you interesting. I mean, you're fascinating for that reason. You don't care. Well, you just go.
It's when tolerance turns.
But I don't think it's a conscious thing. I probably am aware of what I shouldn't say, right? Because it's getting jammed down my throat everywhere I look.
No, but you do it in a fun way, I think. I don't think
Well, I think 90% of me stepping over that line is in a comedic way.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's how I
malicious. I'm
take
not
it.
like,
Yeah.
fuck those, whatever, I do it in a joking way.
It's fun to have that little rush of like, oh my god, did he just say that? You know?
See,
as an audience person,
I can't
it's
relate.
fun,
I can't relate to that because just that you get a rush out of someone saying something inappropriate. You know what I mean? It just means like 98% of the time you're not expressing yourself properly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
deep in here.
Yeah, you've been beaten down by society, right? And the DEI and the woke and everything
Any kind
else.
of opinion that you have, you just bury.
Nah, fuck it. Well, that's what this show's not about. Just so you guys know.
It's to pull that out.
Yeah, release the inner demons. Was it release the Kraken?
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's when tolerance turned into political correctness, right? With tolerance, we could still joke and make jokes, and everybody understood. But with political correctness, particularly at the university, got all the way to, list your pronouns in your bottom of your email. And
did you do it?
No, I never did. I felt pressure.
You're like big and dick.
No, I felt. I mean, the pressure. You say people did it, and I said,
Those aren't pronouns.
For 7 years,
They're my pronouns.
I've been who I was, and I'm not gonna, I don't think it was necessary.
I couldn't have existed in a really hardcore environment.
It was
like
tough.
That, but obviously, the arts department is probably the most ridiculous of DEI and
you don't want anybody to feel offended or uncomfortable, but you still want everybody to treat each other respectfully, but be able to take a joke, and just not be
if you
over
can't
serious.
Look, I mean, if you look at some of, you see pictures of little kids in Africa starving and malnutrition and war zones and everything else, when you see someone in that kind of desperate situation laughing. Right? Because we can all laugh. No matter what's going on in life, there's always shit to laugh about, right? Even if it's at ourselves, especially if it's at ourselves, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what my humor is like, very self-deprecating, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't do that because I'm insecure or anything. It's just, if I make fun of myself.
You can't do it when you're insecure.
Well, that's true.
You have to be very secure.
Right.
To do that.
But I do it because if I make fun of myself, then everybody else is fair game. And I make fun of myself more than I do anybody else.
Well, it's easy to make fun of you.
But, it is. There's a lot of material, right? There's a lot of material.
God help you.
Do you have anything else to add on this woke stuff?
Yeah, you had mentioned about tolerance, and it actually it did a complete 180. Tolerance became intolerance.
Yeah.
So you can't tolerate somebody else's opinion. You can't tolerate this. You can't tolerate that. That's why they have all these rules.
Right.
You have to announce your pronouns or declare your pronouns. But what is the difference or relationship between CRT and DEI?
What is CRT? I don't know it.
Critical race theory.
Fucking still don't know it. Never heard that. Never heard that phrase in my life. Critical race
this
theory.
Entire thing is out of DEI. I know
so
DUI.
Yeah. I think we all know DUI. Well, hold on a minute.
I don't know what
we've got to redo this whole podcasting because I need to have someone of color and a female on here, and a midget, and an emu.
Well, I have long hair, so I could be.
Well, I think the female side's covered by the arts department.
You're right.
I'm the stealth Mexican American.
We've got it covered.
Hey, you're right.
Good.
Fuck, he's the only one who's American here. You're Mexican. I'm British. He's Ukrainian.
Right.
Well, actually, he's not even American because he's Democrat.
I'm definitely American. I was born
you
here.
could be a cholo.
I could. Yeah.
Like if you.
Oh yeah. Had a few tats. Especially on the neck.
Can you imagine him with tattoos? I mean, you could be a mob boss.
Yeah. Wore a button-down shirt with only the top button.
You gotta have your pants all the way
he could
down.
play a mob boss on TV. Absolutely.
Well, what about the most obvious DEI hire that we just saw in the recent election? We have Kamala.
Wasn't that a non-hire?
Kumbaya. Yeah, it was a non-starter from the beginning, right?
Didn't pass the interview process.
Yeah, she didn't.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's
It
crazy.
happens.
So
That's her second time around failing the interview process.
Yeah. The first round she didn't.
She didn't even make it to Iowa.
Yeah, she scored on the bottom.
She was, yeah.
she's just terrible.
She
I don't know
dropped
how
out.
they-
Primaries.
She dropped out before the primary even began, pretty much.
I mean, Pete's been quiet on this one because it's his girl right there. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm going to have to start drinking.
You should drink more.
Yes, that was.
So Pete's our resident Democrat on the board here.
We don't say hey, this is just a status report, and after a status report.
It's a simple observation.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't hate facts, dude. Well, anyway, outside of
Trump hates facts.
Outside of
he hasn't quoted one yet.
he just doesn't like being fact checked.
Okay, he's loose on the facts.
Well, hold on. Before we get to
not?
us,
Which politician isn't?
before we get to us three, because we obviously all pretty happy about the outcome. Really quickly, how do you feel about Trump taking the reins for the next 4 years as a Democrat?
I'm nervous.
Nervous?
I'm nervous for the country,
All right.
and I wish him well. I hope I'm wrong.
Do you need a hug?
I hope I'm wrong. I do, Brian, but not on camera. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous of his appointees.
He's draining the swamp, baby. Couldn't do it first time round.
We'll
He didn't
see.
know what he was getting into first time
Well,
round.
he's going to have a hard time second time around.
Is that
Hope for the
because
best.
the system and the establishment is so ingrained and so resistant?
Well, yeah, I think again he's trying to get appointees through the Senate. Confirmation process is going to be challenging. And
I think he's going to do a lot better anyway, because he really didn't do shit as far as draining the swamp last time. I kind of felt let down. Not that I vote, just for the record. I'm not a citizen, so I can't vote. Otherwise, I would. Basically, I'm your taxation without representation here. I was borderline, and I wasn't like a movie star who's like, if Trump gets in, I'm leaving America. I was genuinely concerned because I think right now, coming towards the end of the Biden administration, America's in the fucking toilet, right? And I had just 4 years of that crazy bitch didn't want to be part of. And I was like thinking, where am I going to go? I was looking at options, and I still am, to be honest, because just the system is not. I don't like the system.
Exactly what they did in 2016.
But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because one person got in
to
power.
Canada.
back to Walls
I certainly
End.
wouldn't
Definitely
move
not
to
going to
Canada.
Canada.
Dude.
Walls End
Too much
again.
like
Go back to Walls
I don't
End.
think they'll let you in. I think they have standards in Canada.
Well, it'll be the 51st state, so we don't have to worry about it. You'll be able.
Yeah,
go
I'll
to
just be
Canada.
able to get through with
I
my
think
driver's
Trump is
license.
proposing that.
The great
Hey,
state of
yeah,
Canada.
The great state of Canada.
That's a big state.
That is a big state.
Yes.
It's even bigger than Texas.
I like the sound of that, actually.
But if they admit that their bacon is just ham, then we'll let them be.
It's just diced ham, isn't it?
It's different.
They thought
Like
it-
all bacon in England, like so the bacon you guys have here, like you get bacon on a breakfast, right?
Yep.
It's back bacon, right?
Yes. Right.
It's what you would make pork belly out of, which is the only thing you should make out of that piece of meat, right? You guys make bacon out of it. It's disgusting.
Wait, what do you guys do?
So we use the meat part of the back. There's a bacon called Ayrshire back. There's Danish, and it's all meat. Like, have you ever had Irish or English bacon?
If it's all meat, it's not bacon. The fat is
No,
what
well,
bacon
see,
is.
but you guys don't understand.
Layered in with it.
You know,
Yes.
Separated.
so we call the bacon that you guys call bacon, and you hickory smoke it and all this bullshit, right?
Salo, we call it.
We call that streaky bacon because it's fat and little bits of meat, and fat and little bits. You know what it's primarily used? We feed the birds that in England.
Oh.
You buy it. It's like scraps that
Man.
you get off the butcher, and you feed the birds with it.
What?
And you put it in bacon fat, and you
Man.
hang it on a tree, and the little birds can eat it.
Brian, my
They
people
love it.
subside
Our
on it.
birds are like 500-pounder.
Right. Any country that subsists on smashy peas,
Well, I'm-
you know, is got
mushy peas?
Mushy
No.
peas.
I'm all for Canadian bacon, but American bacon's shit.
Wow.
I still eat it.
When you
though.
think of
I've been
cuisine
here so
all
long.
around the globe,
Rule Britannia! Britannia rules the kitchen.
Britain is pretty far down the list.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tell you what, British food is awesome, man. I've been here 17 years, and everyone loves the food.
I mean, oh yeah,
They all
this,
get the tacos, though. I don't know why. The corned beef tacos.
this place is great, but when you think about great food,
No, definitely.
usually,
I agree.
Yeah.
French, Italy, other places, even Mediterranean food.
English cuisine is not, too
It's really good, though. It's really good.
Well, when you grew up on it, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
No, we talk about
you guys-
English cuisine in the Ukraine. We're like, have you been to the latest high-end English restaurant?
Well,
Little square of biscuit on a huge plate.
that's the French influence, man. All that shit's
We have a
bullshit.
butler
I actually,
that brings it.
I mean, I like really good quality food, especially when it comes to steaks and stuff. But I hate the pretense that you have to go through in restaurants, some restaurants, right? It actually irritates me.
Especially that guy who does the little...
Oh, I'd shoot that guy, dude. I would shoot that guy. I just want to go in there and eat the food. And I don't need it to be presented like a fucking painting, right? I just want it to be good. That's all I really care about. Eating with my eyes, and I know it's a thing. That's why everything looks like shit when we serve it here.
No, it doesn't.
But how do you make shepherd's pie look good? Like, I defy any chef out there.
You put a little.
You
on
put some
top.
green fucking shit on there.
One of these. Don't judge the guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a picture up here.
You ever heard of garnish?
A meme. I'm gonna put a meme up right here. This is what he's talking about. We were supposed to be talking about DEI, and we're all bagging on English food here. You know what I mean? Like,
No, we're talking about how
Give me a
sad
good
we are
sausage roll, man.
that Trump won the election.
well, he's gonna kick all the
The
Brits out.
economy is really
Most of the
gonna
Brits here are
suffer.
illegal. So
Well, yeah. Speaking of green cards, have you
yeah,
found
let's
yours?
not talk about green
All
cards.
right.
I'm nervous too when Trump gets in.
You know what I find awesome? Every immigrant I know has a harsh stance on immigration.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we're in San Diego,
The
so
irony kills me.
we're in San Diego, and the Mexicans that live here and came here properly, through the proper channels, they can't stand the state of the border right now.
It's terrible.
No.
Yeah, because you have all these killers. In fact, there's one going on trial right now. He has the same last name as me.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to be associated with that stuff.
Damn.
No, it's
The
making
more-
making us look bad. The more we let these criminals who come from South America, Central America, up into here, who are Hispanic, they're giving us all a bad name.
The Cholo backstory is growing.
It's bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
People
He
don't
left
like
that.
it.
He left that all behind. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't. My grandfather did. But for many people, that's why they left. They want to get away from that. Now it's following them up here.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, So do you think the border? I mean, he's hiring to do some serious things with the border. Do you think he's going to pull it off?
I think he'll be mostly successful. It's too big of a problem to solve in one term.
Would you put the military, or at least the reserves? Would you put the reserves on the border?
No, I don't think so. No, that's not what the military's for.
Homeland Security, protecting the border.
No, that's a different department because
That's not
now you're
the
quasi
Military state.
No, it's a quasi police issue, and you don't want your military doing what the police should be doing.
I do, because the police suck at it.
Well, I don't think we can.
Well,
I
then
don't
you
think the
fix
Constitution
that,
allows
but
it.
you don't. Yeah.
No,
Well,
I mean,
let's say
the
it's
police
getting out of
the
hand.
police have had all. I'm not anti-cop by any stretch, but they've had their hands tied by all this woke bullshit, right?
No, but Trump is promising to untie their hands.
Good,
Like,
good.
The Border Patrol, they're so happy
Oh, the border
that
patrol.
they're going to be able to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I would for a short period of time man the borders properly.
How does anybody I'm sorry.
It's just because you have to go to get so far from over here with all this woke bullshit and freedoms and everything else. How does a fucking illegal immigrant whose first act on American soil was to break the law by coming here illegally, right? Then he's fucking hungry and desperate, so he starts stealing or doing whatever, right? Because no one's very friendly to them, right? So they've got to kind of.
New York is.
They're on the
They'll put them up in a hotel room.
the sanctuary cities,
feed them
right?
what they want and give them a debit card, loaded up with money.
Yeah, look how I loved it when Texas started shipping all their immigrants over
That
to
was
Chicago.
great. That was great.
Now look at Chicago. Even the people of Chicago are like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, you were going to say something on.
I'm always wondering, how did this happen? Like, how does it work in the past 4 years? What happens that all of a sudden you have an influx of people going across the border? Do the Border Patrol just get an order to stop enforcing?
They do. They do. And instead, they're
How?
processing
Why?
asylum claims, which are total BS. You can't have somebody claiming asylum. They're marching up from a country, carrying that country's flag, saying, "I'm afraid of the government of this country whose flag I'm flying." If you're a legitimate asylum
Trump sorted that out.
seeker,
What was that? The Hondurans, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, if you're coming
Yeah,
here
when they came
because
in.
you're afraid of your country, you should be flying an American flag, not the.
But shouldn't there be a department? Because I'm imagining.
Well,
like
trust
this-
me, whatever you're going to say, there is a department. I guarantee it, but just no one knows about it.
No, I mean the people processing the paperwork for asylum seekers have to be different than the guys wearing the rifles patrolling the border. My question about this whole situation is
No,
how
they
did it
took
get
guys.
those people and put them in the office.
Yes.
They knew what they were doing, though.
Yes,
they
made
were
them pay
clearly
public.
Well, you're
leaving
saying-
the border wide open.
For on purpose?
Yeah.
To have
Yeah.
Oh,
people-
yeah.
Well,
Well, that's what the
They
Biden
even
administration
sent money to NGOs who went down to these countries and told them what to say so that they could.
and what cities to go to, because they
Yeah.
were trying to push them into swing states and stuff. You know what I
What's
mean?
your take on this, Pete? What do you think?
Originally what happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was kind of encouraged because it was a giant labor pool that came into our country and went around to various states and various harvest times and picked and worked and sent money back home or went back home themselves. And it was kind of big, the business.
It was seasonal work.
It was seasonal work, and that industry really lobbied hard to not look so close at
the farmers?
the fact that these
It was
these
corrupt
peop-
as fuck.
Yeah, that these people are in the country illegally because they were benefiting greatly.
Well, there is
From the
a
labor.
there is a legitimate program that does that. I know people in the industry, tomato growers,
Yeah,
and there's a specific
mean
visa.
tomato?
No, tomatoes.
Tomato?
There's a specific visa for that. So, it gives them, whatever the
Right.
season is, 6 months, whatever it is, you can come up here. They, live on the farms. They do the work. The people pay them whatever they're supposed to pay them. And then they go back.
But
And
half
that-
of them don't.
No, that program still exists. We're talking about something totally different now.
well, I
So,
think-
I know the Irish students, because America has fucking got a hot on for Ireland for some reason, right? JFK, I think, started all that shit, right? But what they don't realize, well, I'll not even get into
Redheads.
that subject. But
Careful,
but-
my other half is Irish.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So I picked on the Mexicans, now I'm picking on the Irish. But they have a J1 visa, and it's students who can come over and work the summer, basically 6 weeks. Is that what that was, basically? So there was a visa they applied for, or did they just come up on buses?
Yeah, it was specifically run through the FDA or whatever the
Right.
agency.
But again, I think there was a huge impetus to bring people over illegally because you had control over their housing.
You
their
could exploit
pay.
them.
Who did
exactly.
that? Exactly. Which government did that? Do you guys know? Do you know when it was kind of first? Who did that? Who?
No, that was businesses that did
Yeah,
that.
business. Yeah, no, yeah. I
But
think
then
the
at some
business-
point, the government started looking the other way because money.
right,
You're unregulated
and then
people, you
and then
can
slowly
do
the
what you want.
population of people who just stayed here
That's
grew.
that's the big issue.
And I think it's like you said. I mean, Trump wants to close the borders and do this. This issue has been around for
Oh yeah, it's not a new issue. It's not a new.
decades.
But it ballooned.
Every country,
Sure.
every
Yeah.
successful country has an immigration problem.
Well,
Because
yeah,
everyone wants to go
absolutely.
there to better themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But go through the proper channels. Go through the procedures.
Any country who loses control of their borders, that's
Is no
going to
longer
be
a
an
country.
issue. That is an issue.
we have lost
we
control
ag-
of our border.
We
How
agree.
is this
I
even
agree
possible?
100% with that.
Well, it was
it's the
intentional.
solution. The solution's
How
tough.
does
There
the
are
law
no easy.
allow for that? How can you be a high-ranking politician and just have your finger on the throttle?
Everything in politics comes down to one
Because they're getting
thing.
money and power.
Money, money, money,
I just
money.
mean, like with the legislature, like how is it possibly?
No, it's totally outside legislation.
No. The laws are there. They're just not being enforced.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, how
intentionally.
come as the president I can give an executive order to the Border Patrol to stop enforcing the border? How is that possible?
Well, they did it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, because I didn't even know, so it's not like it's up to a vote. Not like they asked the people, like, what do you guys
Well,
think?
it is up to a vote. Unfortunately, it's after the fact.
Right, so
So
you vote for the people.
when a president does what the people
Yeah.
do not want to do, the only recourse that the people have is to throw their ass out
Yeah.
next time, reject them, which is what we did. Because the people
I
got
know,
fed
but
up,
in that time.
and it was a lot of
It's
damage.
like in 4 years, if you realize you picked the wrong guy.
Well, we had millions of people come in illegally, and we
It
had
says
the
this-
cartels grow into these gigantic powerhouses because they made so much money off of the immigration. There are estimates anywhere from 10 to probably as high as 40 million here illegally.
It's a tough issue to deal with. We have to deal with it, though.
Well, we
I
have
think
to
everybody agrees.
because people from all over the world and all sorts of nefarious people with the nefarious agendas are flying into TJ and walking across the border.
Yeah.
You got, radicals.
Oh,
you can
yeah.
see. There's a group of them. You're like, well, that's not going to be good. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It needs to be done. And I think when things have gone so far out of control, or you've lost control of a situation so badly, you have to do something radical. And that's why I would put the military on the border. I'd put it'd be a
National
great
Guard.
exercise. It'd be a great exercise for the National Guard. They do exercises all the time.
Not much else.
Things develop into
But
exercises.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna put these teenagers on the border. They're not, they'll have the weapons, but they're not loaded. And what happens when people start shooting at them? What happens when the crowd gets out of control?
Why wouldn't you have
They're
them?
not
Why wouldn't
trained.
you have them loaded? I'm
do
talking
it.
about arming the border.
No, they're not going to do that.
Why not?
Well, because
When you've got cartels
no, but
coming
then you
through
also- you
at
also
will.
have-
and then once they're in America, they're just bouncing wherever they want, setting
not-
up shop like
they're
the
not-
Venezuelan gangs.
they're not trained to handle that situation.
The military's trained to stop people from encroaching on a border.
Yeah, using deadly force.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, we can't do that.
Why not?
So, you want an
How does
18-year-old...
how does Mexico man their southern border?
That's not the problem. The problem is that we send all this money down to tell these people how to come across. We stop it. We don't let them come across the border. We take all the people who are now processing asylum claims, who should be on the border, put them back on the border, finish the wall, and it won't be a problem.
The wall's a joke, though, right?
No.
Have you seen the guys climb up it? They're like little fucking monkeys,
And
dude.
so how long does it take?
If you electrocute it,
How long does it take to
It's a
just
deterrent.
walk right? Yes,
It's a deterrent.
and that's all we need.
Right.
We need time because they get an alert. So there are people who used to monitor the border and enforce the border. They get an alert when somebody's climbing the wall, and they have so many minutes to get over there. So they make sure that they are positioned to get there in that amount of time, and they stop them. They push them back.
there's got to be some casualties
Do you think the U.S.
to stop
military
it.
is incompetent to protect our borders?
No, they're not incompetent.
No, they're not trained. They're not trained for that.
To defend our borders?
They're not given the order
are-
to do it. They
no.
fucking can.
No, they are for a proper invasion, and
This is a proper invasion.
It is not.
Yes.
It's not
You
a
guys
military.
are not.
mean,
You
there's
It's not
guys
a
are-
military.
Killing people.
Am I the only person who's not democratic here?
It's not a military issue. It's controlling
I
the
think
border.
it can be fixed with the military.
But these are desperate people coming across, and I'm not saying that they have a right to be here. I'm saying these are desperate civilians coming across.
Some
you can't.
Some
just-
are convicts and criminals.
The
and
vast
drug
majority are just desperate people coming
Yes.
across. And you give a 19-year-old an order to shoot a mom and her child? I mean, come on. That guy's going to have to live with that the rest of his
I don't
life.
think they would give them that kind of
well,
order.
No, but that's what they're saying.
Brian is saying.
Yeah,
if
when
they
you
come
have a-
across, shoot them.
When you have a crowd coming across and you're overrun and you start shooting people, a woman and a kid are going to be killed.
Hold on though, right? So you have an
Border
area,
Patrol
right? Like Tijuana, you've got the little river, right? And then you've got the border, right?
Yeah.
Now, if anyone goes in that riverbed, they're fair game. Don't go in the riverbed.
Well, Texas put they put a
barricade.
barrier in the middle of
the
the
river.
Rio Grande, and
Well, that's because it's such a long stretch, right? And that's where the border is, right through the middle, right?
but we could do the same thing.
Have we? I guess I've never thought of it from such a basic point of view, but this seems like a pretty basic issue. We can't.
It is really basic.
We haven't
is
figured
basic.
out a way how to stop people from
Well,
crossing a line.
No, we
without
have.
killing them.
No, we have. It's just when you say
doesn't work.
When you said nobody wants this problem, right? No, the Democrats definitely did want this problem until they started getting pushback from the public, and that
No.
became the number one issue
I
because
disagree.
They ran.
They're eating the dogs.
They ran.
They're eating the cats.
There's a song.
They ran on bridges, not borders.
Oh man, this is a terrible.
That was their
accusation.
slogan: "Bridges, not walls." They said, "Why is there a border?"
And I'm like,
they-
bullets, not visas.
You can't even say that.
No.
What, you shouldn't.
No. You know what? Because it's the system has failed, and it can't fix itself.
No.
It needs help.
The system has not failed. It's people ignoring the system that we already have. You know, when Biden took office, he issued like all these executive orders on the first day, and the vast majority of them had to do with border control.
The only way you can stop this mass invasion, because that's what it is, right? That mass, because none of them have jobs, none of them have money, they barely have the clothes on their back, right? So wherever they end up, no one's hiring them. How are they going to eat? They don't have to steal.
Yeah, and that's why we have this rash of crime.
And if Trump's right, that basically, and it makes sense, because I would do the same thing, and we should start doing it. We should get all of our fucking criminals and put them on a plane to somewhere and just drop them off down in Mexico City. Just be like, hey, learn Spanish. Here's a couple of words you'll need when you get down there. You know what I mean? No, he'd rather take his chances on the streets of Mexico City, not speaking Spanish, than being a lifer in jail.
You know, we have this thing.
Open the door. Who wants to go to Mexico? Fuck that. They lost all their rights when they committed multiple crimes that got them a life sentence in a maximum security jail.
I'm not
talking about guys who are in jail for like smoking pot or selling pot. I'm talking about heavy duty criminals.
You're going from over here to way over here. I mean, you're
sensationalizing the issue.
No, I'm not
the vast
sensational.
majority are not criminals.
Of what? The people in jail?
People coming across the border.
No, I agree that, and I agree that they're desperate, but there's a process to help them.
Absolutely.
Running across the border with your fucking 4-month-old baby is not the solution. That's child endangerment. Right. I would take the kid off and give the kid a life and fuck her back off to Mexico.
You realize the vast majority of people who come illegally into this country go through the border cross. It's not climbing the the It's not running across the Rio Grande.
How does that work?
And we should not be letting them.
I agree 100%. I think...
Do it. Take that drink.
Yeah. And I think...
I'm going to drink, I was going to say something, I'm like, what do I do?
On that note, before I punch Brian out...
What? Oh, I would not get in a fight with Brian.
I think, it's funny.
Out of everybody sitting here, he's
we have
the
an
last person I'd
argument.
want to get in
We
a fight.
actually agree. We actually agree on the problem. And obviously, the solutions are not easy, but they have to be taken.
The solution has to be drastic to make an impact and to stop people thinking, oh, I can just walk across the border and get in America, the land of dreams. And it's not. When they get here, they fucking have a horrible life, especially for the first few years, till they get some kind of.
No, but if you stop and think about it, if you look at how many people have crossed over illegally over the past, let's say, 30 years, and see when it spiked, we know how to control our border because we did it up until that spike. So all we have to do is say, well, what did we do differently than before it spiked?
I don't think there was.
And go back to that.
During that spike, there's people going down into the southern countries and saying, hey, this is how you get into America.
Exactly. And the Democrats were paying these NGOs to do that.
So you're saying that we do know how to protect our borders.
Of course.
We're voluntarily not doing
Ceding
it on purpose.
Exactly.
Because that's a whole different topic.
No, that's
conversation.
That's
we already
that's
know
what's
how
going
to
on.
secure our borders.
It's the funding and the people to actually do the laws that are already on the books.
You're saying there's a logistical issue that there isn't enough people and funding.
There's
no, it's political will.
Which comes down to people and money and political will.
We have plenty of money and plenty of people to do it. They're just not doing it.
But this isn't a new problem. It must have existed 40 years ago.
It's existed since America was successful and other countries weren't.
Yeah, and we were reasonable in dealing with it.
So it must be voluntary.
It's a self-imposed problem.
Why?
Because the Democrats ran on it. Because Trump wanted to build the wall, and they said,
well,
no, let them all in. Let's build a bridge.
What are they getting out of it? What's the
votes.
upside?
Remember?
Votes.
All the sanctuary states, right?
So they're
all the sanctuary states, right? That's where they're like, hey, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. We don't care if you're illegal. We don't care if you just got released out of a maximum security prison in Mexico. We don't care. We'll look after you. So all of those sanctuary cities also don't require ID to vote.
And they're all Democratic.
It's not a coincidence. And then they're basically all I think a couple did flip actually, and they did an overlay during the election or at the end of the election. They did an overlay of the sanctuary states and then the no vote ID states, and it was like, oh look, they all marry up. It's actually it's just ridiculous. And
so you're saying that they're doing this to gain more power?
Well,
of course, yeah, power and money.
Well, they thought they were going to try and they thought the illegals, but the illegals don't give a shit. They're trying to get their next meal. They're not fucking standing in line to vote. They're trying to eat and get a job.
And you're creating a permanent unclass in the process.
We already have that, though, right?
To a certain extent.
Yeah, we have the British expats.
So, religion then? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone religious?
I
mean, I'm completely against any organized religion. I'll just say that right now.
How come?
Fucking corruption. It's just like politics, you know? But there has to be, in my mind, there has to be something. And it's not like I'm not hoping there's something. I just think there has to be something bigger than us.
How come you say that?
But I'm not thinking it's religious. I'm not saying it's necessarily religious.
Guy with a beard.
It could be. We could literally be. You know when you were at school and you had the little ant farms?
Yeah.
We could be like planet Earth could be an alien ant farm sitting on the desk in some biology lab in like some alien.
Wasn't there
high
a
school.
Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah,
There's
I
just like
think-
this big eye looking.
Oh, I don't know. Twilight Zone.
More recently, Rick and Morty had something like that.
Yeah.
You were raised Catholic, right?
I was raised Catholic. Yeah.
So was I. Well, you were as well, right?
Protestant.
Proddy? Well, I was
Proddy.
raised in a
Wow.
Proddy country. That's what.
Kathy?
That's what. Thank you.
That kind of hurt.
Proddy. Now that's what Proddy dogs actually is. We call them Proddy dogs, right?
Proddy
So
dogs.
England's a Protestant country, Church of England, right? Protestant, but I was raised Catholic, and we're a massive minority, right? We're a huge minority in England, and
Isn't that contradictory?
Yeah.
what, a huge minority? Yeah, it is.
Out of the minorities, we're the biggest.
Yeah, exactly. So my sister's a nun, right? I was raised Catholic. I know all the, like, I always tell people to watch The Life of Brian, right? It's a Monty Python movie, and it's fucking hilarious. But it's only hilarious if you know the stories of the Bible. It's like, but it's hilarious. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's really, really funny. So he gets mistaken for the Messiah.
No, I want to
Have
know.
you seen it? Have you seen Monty Python? I mean, Life of Brian?
Yes, I have.
You haven't seen it,
I
have
haven't
you?
seen it.
I want to know if you
I don't think I
drove
have.
your sister to become a nun. No, it was influence.
Yeah.
If anything, I would drive her out of the habit.
How have you not?
Such a bad habit.
Such a bad habit.
No, but so I, anytime you set up an entity like that, it's just politics is gonna come in, greed and everything else. I mean, fuck, why do I have to give you money? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I believe you can believe in any god you want, right? You can believe in any god you want. You don't need an organized religion to do that.
An organization.
You don't have to go to church or temple or wherever the hell you want to go.
Well, maybe you don't, but there are people who do.
They're avoiding their life that they should be filling themselves.
Well, let's not get judgmental. Okay, beyond that, let's say beyond the organizational aspect of it. Because what interests me is that part that you said there must be something out there. So,
Didn't they use
this is a question.
Who is that?
Right?
There must be something out there. Something. What's that?
Must be something inside.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I always get the lyrics
You
wrong.
don't
Yeah,
drink,
yeah.
you don't smoke.
And then you also differentiate
do.
between spirituality and religion. How come?
Yeah, well, I feel very much the same way that Brian does, where I believe that there's something out there that connects us all somehow, I don't know how to describe it, but there's something out
Human
there.
centipede.
Yes, exactly. You took my thoughts right out of my head. No, there's,
You said you were thinking the same as me. I'm like, is he thinking about a human centipede?
no, so I just think it's, whatever it is so complex
8 billion.
that we're not going to be able to describe it, it's like what you said, he's this old man, sitting on his throne.
I can
and
draw
the
a
right
chart
side
if you want.
is-
Want me to draw a
Lightning
chart?
bolt.
Oh,
Yeah.
please don't.
No, it's not that simple. It's something more complex, but I believe there is something there that, connects all life.
Do you think it's unified in the sense that like your brain, the different parts of your brain come together to make Mark? Do you think that this thing has some kind of unifying identity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you think it comes together in its intelligence to become a person that you can interface with in any sense?
No,
or-
I didn't go that far. I wouldn't say
Oh,
that.
okay.
I wouldn't say that.
So it might be a person, but it probably is not interfacing.
I wouldn't even call it a person.
It has to be a superpower. If it created Earth,
I guess what
if
I
it
mean
created
is,
our existence, it has to be a superpower, right?
No.
but it's organized.
I mean, if it exists. If it exists.
We do
you
not
just
ex-
believe it.
We
You
do
just
not
believe in
a
what's it called?
superpower to create the universe.
You just believe
It
in
doesn't-
You're saying
evolution.
no higher intelligence.
No,
No,
absolutely.
Well, no, I think there is some higher intelligence. So, but
He-
I
he
wouldn't
is
call
on
it.
the
I wouldn't call it
upside.
God. I would call it something like a force, like gravity, or something like
But
that.
Star Wars,
is
here
it
we go.
organized? Is it unified? Do you know what I mean by that? Or is it just scattered and it doesn't know about itself, the different parts of it?
No, I
Is
think it's
there-
both. I think it's unified and chaotic at the same time.
So that unified aspect,
I'm just thinking
Could you
of Jello
personify
right
it?
now.
like some kind of intelligence out there, right? That's somehow connected to itself. Wouldn't that be like a God kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, some people wouldn't call it God, but
Yeah, I mean,
to say, for one particular religion to say, well, this is what God is. I don't think we're capable of understanding it and describing it in that simplistic way.
We don't have to go for defining it in any way, but
Mankind has had this need to believe in something like that, ever since.
why?
we
Do you
crawled.
have that need yourself personally?
Well-
I don't have that need actually.
No, but I can acknowledge that mankind has that need, even if I don't specifically have that need.
Why do they need it though?
yeah, why is it a need?
Well, that's the question, right? But it's always been
Is
there.
it a
I
question?
think they were told they needed.
No,
and that
this-
the
I
only
think
way
it's- I
to
think it's
get
a
there
pretty-
is through my organization. If you believe in this, it will make you feel better.
Well, that's
and therefore
that's exploitation of that need.
Well, I thought you were going to say that's
exactly.
LSD.
I think that's what religion is. It's exploitation.
We should do this
of the human
on
need.
acid one
Drugs
day.
and acid.
We should draw some acid and do this show. Because that's the only thing I'm missing right now. Because this conversation is like fucking making my head go.
We each have it in ourselves, the desire to be good people.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you want to be a little
But
more
you don't have to be religious
cynical,
to be good.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you want to be a little
You
more
can live
cynical.
a righteous life
Yeah.
and not have any religious ties.
Oh, sure. But it does help people who are struggling, I think. I think
Like-
there is some. I think there is some use to organized religion. It's not all bad and
Yeah,
nefarious.
I mean, this. I think so too. I agree with Mark that there are people who are struggling with some themes in life, and I think religion does
Well,
provide
man
a
up,
structure.
bitch. No, I mean you don't have to
Okay,
create
but-
some bullshit, right? I mean,
Well,
like,
yeah.
You're being
If
a
you've
dick.
got a problem, see, I think all guys are fixers in general, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's just a lot of pussies out there, right? Because,
Okay, fine. There are pussies out there. So what?
but no, I mean, just if you've got a problem, I guess they fixed it by creating a religion that is going to look after them.
It's fine.
If you got a problem, talk to Brian.
Yeah,
you
I'll
don't
go
need to
take.
talk
I'll
to.
go
Straighten
take
you out.
care of it.
Like, here,
I'll
have
take
a
care of
beer.
it for you.
Yeah, right.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
have a beer.
you're not drinking enough. I'll fucking fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you said something, because I'm still wrapping my head around, as you can tell, why people need to fill this void that they have in their life. But what I was thinking is, it would be like, and I don't agree with this either, to be honest. It's like if you find out you're adopted, and then you're on this quest to find your real parents, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a shit about my real parents.
Well, you're
because they
tough.
fucking dumped me. Right? And these are my parents. It's so disrespectful to the people who have raised you, right? These guys, I didn't have this existence, but my parents were, what they were. I had great parents. Poor as shit, but I had great parents, right? But if I found my cousin was adopted, and I used to hang out with him, and I knew he was adopted, and he knew he was adopted. It was just no big deal.
It wouldn't matter.
There was no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I would not bat two eyelids about. Is it eyelids or eyelashes or eyes? Fucking whatever.
There it is.
Well, some kind of fucking like gecko
would-
here, like.
You wouldn't give 2 eyes?
It's eyelid.
How many eyes
I
would
wouldn't
you
bat
give?
2 eyes. I wouldn't bat 2 eyelids. It doesn't even sound right. It doesn't sound right. 2 eyes.
I wouldn't bet 2 aluminum bats.
Yeah. But anyway, I wouldn't do any of that. If I found out all of a sudden that, like, when I'm 17 or something, they're like, well, it's time you knew, you were adopted. I'd be like, oh, okay, big deal.
My whole life has been a lie.
Yeah.
Is it okay for the weak-minded people to have a crutch?
I guess that's what makes them weak, right?
Do we
That's
have
what
to
makes them
destroy
weak, I
it,
guess.
though? Like, well, let them have it.
I'm not destroying it. I just don't understand why they need it, and I certainly don't understand why it has to
Life
be
is
this
terrifying.
big giant entity that's now split into all
I'm kind
these
of
different
surprised that you
fractions.
say that because quite often you talk about alphas, right? You're definitely an alpha. So what distinguishes alphas from the rest of the herd, right? So how can you not understand that if you're an alpha, that the rest of the herd does not possess whatever makes you strong enough to get through these problems?
In that scenario, right, the alpha just rises to the top, right? And you can't become an alpha. You just kind of born an alpha, right? I don't think you can become
So how?
one, right?
So
a true alpha.
No, you're very in tune to the whole alpha thing. But how can you then not acknowledge that there are non-alphas?
But there's definitely non-alphas, but do they need to use him as a crux? Are they turning to, if they're turning to him to provide for them and to protect them from attack and stuff, like, I'm talking old days, right? Modern day society, dude, fucking man up, man.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, you say, well, what's the harm? Well, the harm is, look at the world. The world's religions are causing chaos.
No, I disagree with that because the chaos happens outside of religion as well. So, this is just basic humanity. This is the way man is. You don't need religion to do it. You could use any other crutch that you want other than religion to control people.
Little villages have been fighting over for centuries, right? And they didn't have religion back then. They might have had religion, but that wasn't why they were fighting each other. Yeah.
I mean, we're perfectly capable of fighting without religion.
Well, tell the Taliban that, that it's not their religious thumb that they're trying to push on people.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
They're using, the fact is that they do use that.
Well, that is a political and religious
Well, I know.
movement.
Well, so you're saying what's the harm of religion? That's the harm, that it's being used that way.
No, but that harm exists outside of religion. So you can't necessarily put that on religion.
Yeah, but they're using religion. Yeah, go ahead.
I think what they're trying to say is that they're using it as a means to an end, but if religion wasn't there, they would still behave in this evil way.
Exactly.
They would just use another tool to accomplish that.
Yeah,
Fine, but I want another tool. I do not want them to use religion.
Well, but they could use any tool.
Well, of course they could.
But that doesn't mean that you should discard that tool as being a horrible thing because somebody misused it in the wrong way.
Yeah, it's like money. I mean, you can buy drugs with money. Does that mean that money is
Hookers and
inherently
I do buy drugs
evil?
with money, but that's another topic.
I'm going back to my original statement. We need to drop some acid when we do this show.
Yeah, okay, I'm on board.
So religion's just a really tough one. We're talking about higher powers and aliens and all sorts of shit. Anyone think the drones in New Jersey, New York, are aliens? There's people freaking out about it. There's a couple of drones flying around and people are freaking out.
I love this topic.
The drones aren't aliens. The people in New Jersey are aliens.
There you go. That's it. Case closed.
Ever met one?
Case closed.
Case closed.
Well, I hear they're all over the world. I hear it started in England actually with these drones a few weeks ago.
Did they do the crop circles?
Crop circles, yeah.
No, there's drones because the sound is there. They sound like drones. They have the buzz. But they're huge. They're like the size of a car or a bus.
Well,
That's what I heard, yeah.
Mark's car sounds like a drone.
You know what?
I know.
Any theory? So what? Just a quick theory. What do you think it is? Like in 3 words.
I think it's hysteria. It's airplanes and people's hysteria.
So you don't think there's any drones?
No.
All right, Mark.
No, I think there are drones, and I think that somebody knows what's going on.
Somebody.
Somebody
who loves
the deep
me.
state.
So you think it's the government?
I think the government knows, and they just don't want to say for whatever reason.
Military training.
Could be.
Yeah, I think it's the deep state technology.
You think it's the government
They're
too?
They're not fessing up to it.
You know what I think it is? Because it is New York after all.
What?
I think it's an elaborate advertisement campaign from a Pizza Hut. Do you remember when we got those orange bikes that were appearing all around town for about 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And no one knew what these orange bikes were.
Yes.
They were being chained to lampposts and shit, right? And then all of a sudden it was a gym that opened up. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a pizza chain in New York.
Eventually, the drones are all going to come together and form a giant pizza in the sky.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe it's going to form a giant god. We all have to start worshiping.
What's interesting is that Pizza Hut seems to be interested in military bases all over the world, because that's where these things are hovering over military bases.
Military members love pizza.
That's
Yeah,
why.
that's why.
They're going to drop pizza slices over these military bases.
It has to be government, realistically, right?
Well,
it could be
It
another
doesn't
time.
have to be government.
It's the aliens. And
Well, let's
we're
not
being
drone
invaded.
on.
Let's not drone on about it.
We could be invaded by
Yes.
aliens.
I would.
All right.
Yeah, I would more think it's the aliens than it is the government.
Yeah,
I think
aliens it
it's
is.
just.
We're being invaded, guys.
Yes.
It's happening.
If they're
Definitely
the-
not aliens.
If they're the size of
Well, you can't
cars,
say that.
It's not extraterrestrial
How
aliens.
come? What?
Maybe it's aliens from the other side of the globe. Maybe.
well,
Why
there was,
not?
there's a big thing that it was coming from some Iranian ship off the coast.
Yeah, the mothership.
Yes.
Fucking
Well,
crazy.
seen
Just some of the
videos-
shit you hear about on the internet is absolutely
No,
mind-boggling.
I've seen videos on a news YouTube channel, like a legitimate.
You could have just
outfit.
said the internet. It would have been a lot quicker.
I seen a video on the internet
Hey!
where they're in the water. They
I know
pull out of the water.
it's your second language, English, but
It is, yeah, you're right.
Well, if
anyway,
it,
what were they pulling out of the
Well,
water?
they pull out
Tampons.
They go in and out of the water. These drones.
Yeah. Well, if they're the size of cars, they're pretty damn expensive,
Yeah,
right? So then that only leads me to the military or the government.
yeah.
absolutely.
Why do they have those little FAA lights? The
Right.
the green and the red or whatever colors it is.
Maybe they're going to use them. You know what I've said? I've said this for years. Obviously, not big giant motherfuckers like that. It's probably got people riding them, right? But little midget guys, I guess. See, I knew the midgets would come into this podcast somehow.
No,
The midgets have christened the first episode.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I question all bald people that they really are aliens
What about this,
because
right?
they can't grow hair. Aliens.
What
you know?
about drones responding to initial police calls?
Those drones that were
No, just in general, since we're talking about
Oh,
drones.
like
Oh, I saw
first-
that movie. What was that? Demolition Man?
I don't know
Or
if it's
which
a movie
one was
or not.
that?
I didn't see a movie. Just why not? Because
First on the
let's
scene.
say this alarm goes off in here, right?
Right?
The cops are like, "Oh shit, that place is being burgled." They come out, they walk around the perimeter. There's no sign of break-in, and they're like, "Ah, false alarm." There's a fucking some piece of paper fell off the thing, and the
Right.
fan blew it and set the alarm off in the middle of the night, right? Now, a drone could do that, and a cop could be doing something more useful, like buying donuts.
I like this idea.
No,
No.
I think it's a great idea,
The
but
drone there's a cop at the other end of the drone.
not a
They're
cop.
Not that.
Not a cop.
Well,
Someone who's trained to fly it'd be some like
yeah.
spotty little
Someone
15-year-old.
Yeah, I know,
Still
but
a
he's
cop.
getting paid as
Still a
much
cop.
as a cop. Yeah,
But he's
I don't
making
think you're saving that
decisions.
much money.
He's making critical.
No, he doesn't.
decisions.
He's not kicking doors down. This is where you get people who aren't alpha, right? And there's plenty of them in the police force, right?
Skinny guys like.
Oh, you don't
myself.
want a police force full of alphas. You definitely don't want that.
No,
I would rather have them full of others so they can do their job properly. You
Well,
know what I
someone
mean?
has to follow orders.
Yeah.
Well, it's a collective, though, right? It's a
I have a
collective.
problem with that.
It's an alpha
The
collection.
betas don't.
yeah.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But I mean,
Bored.
there's so many cops where you just go like, I could take this guy. I could just put him on the deck, and I could be gone, and no one's gonna know. Not kill him. I could just get away from this situation.
Choke them out.
Well, that's the same scenario as I can outrun this car. Well, what about the helicopter?
Right, exactly,
The other
right,
car?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Brian.
But anyway, I'm not promoting violence against police by any stretch. But no, I mean, like there's plenty of cops who shouldn't be a cop, shouldn't be kicking down doors and making arrests.
On
'Cause then
both ends
they're
of the
not
spectrum.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely
yeah.
too aggressive as well. But I'm talking the majority of cops.
No,
they're not built
They
It's
just
the
want to do
same.
their
to
job.
be cops.
I mean,
If you want to be a politician, that should exclude you. If you want to be a cop, that should probably exclude
Yeah, exactly.
you.
You're right.
Because you don't want the people who want to do that.
Yeah.
I'll
I had
draft
I had a guy. One of my buddies. We played darts together a long time ago, and field military guy did the 4 years. The minimum requirement. Did the 4 years, and then he wanted to be a cop. Now, his whole focus in life was guns.
Yeah, right.
Like his screenshot on his phone was the newest pistol he
That's
just
the
bought.
right guy
You know what I
for the
mean?
job.
And I'm like, I goes. Have you done the psych test yet? And he goes, no. And I was like, you're gonna fail a psych test, dude.
Because
And
you want to use it.
a few weeks later,
Yeah.
he'd done the psych test, failed.
Oh shit.
Big tall, skinny guy. He's a nice
Yeah.
guy,
So
but
the
his
system worked.
focus was the system did work. It weeded him out anyway.
Well, look,
Well,
you guys,
good.
you guys know I'm an anarchist at heart. But it's only because the system is kind of failing in some ways. I wouldn't be much of an anarchist if the system was competent and did a good job. I think organization is a good thing in some senses. It has its, upsides. But I guess I'm upset with how things are going.
Yeah, anarchy is a system.
Well, power corrupts. That's the biggest takeaway, right? Power corrupts, and it doesn't matter whether it's a small little Baptist church in the middle of America, or if it's the federal government, right? Power corrupts.
And
right?
absolute
it's the same
power corrupts,
dynamic.
absolutely.
You see the same
Yes.
dynamic in a bar environment. Anytime you get more than two people in an environment, someone's going to vie to be the top dog. You know what I mean?
I think it's funny that you say that that anarchy is a system, because I think that's true. That I think it's a system that prevents stagnation, because that's kind of what the American way is all about. Is the freedoms lead to constant innovation and new thought.
Oh, sure.
And
Well,
what I think I have a problem with, any system is that a system has to be suspended in time. It means that we've learned from the ways of old, and we're going to implement that knowledge to now. And
But then it's not suspended in time. It's constantly evolving, right?
the part where we've learned from the days of old, and now we're applying those rules. To
You and
now.
Brian are actually making the same argument, because in anarchy, every individual
I'm just
is
thinking about
responsible for
Jell-O,
themselves, right? I thought it was centipedes. Oh, you moved on.
I've had the
Oh,
pie. I should be
progress.
thinking about that.
I've stopped sewing people together.
No, because you're talking about an organization where somebody rises to the top, they get too much power and then become corrupt. Where Vasily's saying that each individual has their own power, and that doesn't allow for somebody to rise to the top and become corrupt, right?
Well, that's
The great thing about that is it's always fresh, because individuals could change their minds at any point. But if we create a system, now we're stagnating. We're not in tune with right now with every individual moment.
Have you been around people much? They are so resistant to change. People like the status quo.
Yeah, but why?
But once
why
it's
add
happened, they're
another
all
layer
like,
of-
"Oh, that was a good thing." Yeah.
No, even if it was a bad thing, they would rather stay with something bad that they're familiar with than go into the unknown.
So why add yet another
People are
layer
such
of
pussies, man.
stagnation?
People are just such pussies.
No, and I said that
Stop
in jest.
being pussies out there, man. Come on.
Yeah,
Think for yourself, some critical thinking.
You don't need a deity, and you don't need a government.
Some
above
people
you.
do.
You don't need anything above you. I think immigrants really notice the freedom aspect of the American promise, whereas the people here have kind of forgotten about that part.
That's right.
Whereas we're excited about that shit, because that's why we're here.
But it's easy-
We heard about freedom, and we're like,
It's easy to
I
forget,
want
though,
I want
right?
freedom,
It's easy for the people to forget when they're growing up in a system that's failing them all the time.
Oh, sure.
Right?
because
It's
they're
just
hungry.
taxing them and everything else.
The
You know what I mean?
vast majority of Americans could not pass the test to become citizens of this country.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
You could have just stopped that test.
yeah, right.
Hold on, is it in Spanish?
Could be.
No habla español.
No habla. No
that
habla.
being said, I'm happy to be here, and I prefer this tyranny over any other one.
And it is a tyranny, actually.
It
The
is
tax-
interesting.
The taxation
This is the best tyranny on the planet right
Yeah,
now. Is
well,
in the United
it's-
States. I
it's an-
recommend it.
It's an experiment.
I
and it's
agree.
only 200 years old.
I want to go back to what Vasily said real quick, where I think that immigrants do appreciate the opportunities we have in this country way more than people who have been here for generations, because we're comfortable. We don't realize how good we have it. Where people who come from other countries, they realize, hey, it's tough out there, and you guys have it pretty damn good. So here we have to create our own problems. This is where the whole DEI thing comes from, and it was like,
exactly.
you didn't call me by my proper pronouns, and this person's just trying to find shelter and a place to eat. I mean,
I have
totally
another-
different.
There's plenty of Americans in that situation. The homeless situation is quite bad, right?
No, but that's more of a mental health and drug issue.
Well, let's put it at this point then. There's plenty of Americans don't have any savings, living paycheck to paycheck.
But that's mostly due to choice.
No. Well, lack of
fired.
lack of ambition, lack of motivation, maybe, but not by choice. No one wants to be poor, right?
Subconscious choice. It's because of decisions that they made throughout their life that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
they
not
wind
saying
up
it's
being there.
not their own fault, and
Right.
and they can help themselves get out of it as much as they've helped themselves stay in it. Because you get born into poverty,
Well,
right?
I wouldn't say it's their fault even. I would, because a lot of times people don't realize the ramifications of the choices that they are making. Our system
No.
has made it too easy to fail,
Yes.
where people don't realize, hey, if I don't do this, I might become homeless. Or say, I'm not going to be homeless.
Someone
That
will
can't
bail me
happen."
out, right?
Yeah.
Someone will bail me again and again. That's, as a society, we
That's
have
not a
to
bad
decide.
thing,
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, but there's always
it
a
is to a
percentage
certain
of people who are going to take advantage of that. Who are going to say,
Well, back to the weak
it
people.
doesn't matter if I'm a bad person or I spend all my money or I'm on the street, because they're going to pick me up and take me to a hospital and get me somewhere.
And that's okay as long as that percentage is small.
Yes.
When it becomes too big, then we got a big problem.
Exactly.
Do you think that there are any
Welfare
elements
state
Exactly.
isn't you know.
would be problematic? That would be socialism.
Well, that's what we have now.
We are.
What we have right now is the bottom two quintiles basically have the life of the center quintile. So they can basically live the life of,
Yes.
of a person in the center quintile because of so many government programs.
Right.
So there are programs. I guess where this would tie back into the DEI issue is that I think some people in the populace feel that there are systems in the government that work against certain people rising through the ranks, rising through the socioeconomic ladder,
yeah.
and that these DEI programs are trying to balance that kind of.
I think they actually have the opposite effect.
They've gone way too far.
So
yeah.
let's talk about school education, for example. So in California,
You
and
guys
other
have that
states,
in America?
We do.
We try.
We have.
Well,
we
don't
actually
try
have
too
one
hard,
of the
but-
best. If you're able to take advantage of it, we have one of the best education systems in the world. That's why people come from all over.
But
know, to be
you're
educated
talking
here.
about the college system, university system, right?
Our high schools are fantastic too in certain high schools, certain areas,
In certain respects, yes.
in certain respects. All right, so
What, that they all have metal detectors?
Yeah.
no, you're picking up
Yeah,
the worst
it
of the
is.
worst.
Yeah, the
think it
teachers
had a
are saying,
very
again,
poor
yeah.
quality of.
But let's go back to what you said. So the whole DEI thing says, well, black and Hispanic students are not graduating at a rate that we want. So instead of trying to figure out why, what's holding them back, how do we better educate these people so they can meet these standards? They said, well, let's just lower the standards so they can graduate, and we'll put them into college.
Yeah.
And now they're going to college, and they're going to fail even worse in college. The dropout rate in college has just gone through the roof
Right.
because they're not properly prepared for
but
college.
what the school system done is passed it on.
Yes.
Right.
They
and
failed.
This
They
is
failed.
through DEI. They said,
right now.
Can I-
and they say, well, they're not passing at a rate that we need, so let's just lower the standards and pass them.
That's just ridiculous, right?
And that does more harm than good.
of course it does.
Well, and that trickles into college. I spent 40 years in universities. And yes, people came in with appalling writing and English skills.
And I'm sure you saw it change throughout the years.
And it impacted the ability of the college to be able to further these people, because you were doing remedial training of people who had no business being in college,
yeah, yeah.
because of their high school
And that all
education.
comes down to money.
Is it possible that maybe what some of these people may be frustrated about is that even the metrics that they test people on, like let's say being able to read, does not always correlate to intelligence? There are people who are dyslexic who can't read because the words get jumbled inside of their head, but it has no correlation to their overall intelligence. Like they could be really good with people. They could know. They could
But
read
that's
the
not
room.
intelligence either.
All right.
It is a level of intelligence.
No, that's
Because
emotional
animals can't do that.
emotional intelligence.
So
That's
they
the
could
thing.
read a room. They could understand, like, if
For sure.
somebody's feeling uncomfortable, they could tune into that,
Yeah.
or like what to do in a given situation. If you're like at a club or at a bar or at a party, right? There's a level of intelligence that goes into, like, some nerdy people might not understand how to behave in a certain social situation.
But they're more
That's a
book
level-
smart, right?
Right, but these are all levels of intelligence. So in some cases, I think that some people might be angry at the fact that the way that, especially academia and the system, has been ranking people or judging people based on a certain criteria that don't necessarily translate to real-world competence, like being able to read or do math. You know, that kind of stuff you can test pretty easily.
You mean the basics?
Yeah, but what if somebody can't do that, but they're brilliant in the way that they can create a team, and so they're a great leader? Like, they can create a multi-billion-dollar company because they're great at
Yeah, but
skills.
to be a leader, you kind of have to have an all-round ability, right?
I don't agree
You
with
can't.
that at
You
all.
can't be like
Not at
dumb
all.
as shit and then
Well,
What
be
if
a
your
leader.
only
you know?
skill is to
Oh, I
put
met
together
plenty
a
of
team?
owners of companies
Yeah.
who are dumb as shit.
That's-
Because
that's-
they
Elon
make
Musk.
They make up in
I
other
think
ways.
you're talking about Elon Musk.
Well, he's
Um,
smart as hell, man.
But the problem, okay, so then but you don't want government, to be as big as it is. You don't want, who says how much money we spend to recognize that issue and then to develop it? That all costs money, right?
Yeah, we don't. It's actually happening in real time.
Well, of course it is.
The attention is moving away from the classic way of doing things, and like online stuff is taking over so much that the old world is struggling to even realize what's going on. Like
You
people
calling
are
me old?
People are moving away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. no.
he
I'm
still
with you.
uses a typewriter, dude.
Yeah.
Don't get on that.
Oh man,
I'm being funny.
I wrote my thesis on a typewriter. Don't.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like online colleges now and things like that that cater to
Yeah.
that kind of
No. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
agree with you in that regard, but that is not DEI. DEI is taking a class of people and making their situation worse, so they will become a permanent underclass.
Well, I mean, like every system you have to gauge an intelligence of a group of people is going to miss some.
There's going to be
Right?
outliers.
You're going to have the
Absolutely.
really smart people who might still fail. You're going to have the really dumb people who will fail. And they're just like, we're only worried about this middle section, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? We'll get these through, and these guys can do whatever they do, you know? But what they've done is, what he's saying they've done, which is obvious, because when you talk to kids these days, man, Jesus, you can barely get a sentence out of them without, you know?
I thought we were done with the religious topic.
No, carry on. 'Cause this is
But
interesting.
like, so they brought that bar all the way down here, so more of them can pass. And it's just a stupid
That's
way
right.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, but how do you know that people that are passing through that metric don't have other skills that will contribute that you're not even measuring for?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's outside. So the highly intelligent people who you're talking about, whether it's like able to solve problems or able to read a room, different types of intelligence, or musically gifted. These type of people they're a very small percentage of the population. I'm talking about that group
Oh,
that
so
Brian
you
was
say.
talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
the masses.
like the pineapple, right? You cut off the top, you cut off the bottom, then you have the part of the pineapple that you
Are
eat,
you
right?
willing to concede that there are certain abilities that you're not even considering?
Let's say that they cannot accomplish what they need to accomplish to get ahead in life, and instead of giving them what they need to get ahead in life,
They
they're
shrink
saying
the middle.
we're just going to move this. We're just going to move them through the system.
We're going to pretend they've got it.
and then they're going to fail later on.
And they haven't got the tools, haven't got the
So they're
basic
gonna,
skills.
yeah, and they're going to fail in college, and then they're going to fail on the job.
Right.
I see.
And we're
Okay,
going to
so
give
it's
them
the-
a participation trophy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's the part where you're treating them actually differently than you would everybody else.
Well,
by
you're
giving
treating them as equals when they're not. They haven't gained this basic grasp of the English language or math or whatever, and you're basically saying,
So you are treating them differently than you normally would.
Yeah,
Oh, you're treating them
they
differently.
call
Yeah.
it the soft discrimination or the soft racism of low expectations.
I see what you're saying.
Saying,
It took
well,
me a
this-
minute.
this
So
group
that
of
actually
people-
ironically is discrimination. 'cause-
It is. It is. But they're saying that
I
is
see
the
what you're
exact
saying.
opposite. That this is the solution to discrimination. But it's actually even worse discrimination.
Example.
In simplistic terms, yeah. Yeah.
I was going for simplistic.
thank God. All right, I think we
that
wrap.
was heavy.
I don't even know if that's gonna make it, right?
Yes.
All right, we'll wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, pass this on to your friends, and we'll build on this. We're not really going to have a format. That's not kind of what we want to do. You know, as we build, we'll probably do more topical stuff and get more content out there more frequently. That's more relevant to you guys.
Or people could request it in the comments.
And I'll try to keep these three somewhat straight.
Viva!